On June 28, 1914, a shot rang out in Sarajevo, Bosnia. This single act of violence would soon reverberate across the globe, altering the course of history forever. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie were assassinated. Their deaths sent shockwaves through the political landscape of Europe. The assassin, Gavrilo Princip, was a Serbian nationalist. His actions were fueled by a desire for greater Serbian independence and resistance against Austro-Hungarian rule. This event set off a chain reaction that plunged Europe into the deadliest war the world had ever seen. Nations began mobilizing their armies, preparing for a conflict of unprecedented scale. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia for the assassination and declared war. This declaration was the first domino to fall in a series of events that would engulf the continent. A complex web of alliances then drew other nations into the conflict. Treaties and agreements meant that a local dispute quickly became a continental crisis. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France, who were allied with Serbia. The stage was set for a massive confrontation. Great Britain joined the war when Germany invaded Belgium, a neutral country. The invasion of Belgium was a pivotal moment that galvanized British public opinion. The world watched in disbelief as the great powers of Europe marched to war. Newspapers around the globe reported on the escalating tensions and the mobilization of troops. What began as a regional conflict quickly escalated into a global conflagration. The war would last for 4 long years, leaving an indelible mark on the world. The war pitted the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria, against the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, Japan, and eventually the United States. The stage was set for a clash of empires, with millions of soldiers mobilized for a fight that would consume the continent. World War I was characterized by trench warfare, a brutal and static form of combat. On the Western Front, a vast network of trenches stretched from the North Sea to Switzerland. Soldiers on both sides endured horrific conditions, facing constant artillery bombardment and machine gun fire. The Battle of the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles in human history, exemplified the horrors of trench warfare. Over 1 million casualties were inflicted on both sides for minimal territorial gains. The Battle of Verdun, another infamous battle, saw similar levels of carnage. Section 4. New Weapons of War. World War I witnessed the introduction of new technologies that would forever change the face of warfare. These innovations were not just incremental improvements, but revolutionary changes that redefined combat strategies and tactics. The machine gun, far more lethal than earlier firearms, made assaults incredibly costly. Capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, it turned battlefields into deadly zones of carnage, making traditional charges almost suicidal. Poison gas, a terrifying new weapon, was used to deadly effect, inflicting agonizing deaths and leaving a legacy of fear and outrage. Chlorine and mustard gas caused horrific injuries, leading to the development of gas masks as a necessary defense. Tanks, armored vehicles designed to break the stalemate of trench warfare, were first deployed in World War I, but would not reach their full potential until World War II. These early tanks were slow and unreliable, yet they marked the beginning of mechanized warfare. Airplanes, still in their infancy, were used for reconnaissance and dogfighting, marking the birth of aerial warfare. Though primitive by today's standards, these early aircraft played crucial roles in gathering intelligence and engaging enemy planes in the skies. Section 5. A flawed peace. After 4 long years of war, the Allied powers emerged victorious. The world rejoiced, believing that peace had finally been achieved. Germany, exhausted and facing defeat, signed the armistice on November 11, 1918. This marked the end of hostilities on the Western Front. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war, but sowed the seeds for future conflict. The treaty was intended to ensure lasting peace, but had the opposite effect. The treaty imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and crippling reparations payments. These measures were seen as excessively punitive. These punitive measures left Germany deeply resentful and economically devastated, creating a fertile ground for political extremism. This environment contributed to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the outbreak of World War II. The treaty's failure became evident as tensions escalated. The war had a profound impact on the 20th century, reshaping societies and altering the course of history. It led to the collapse of empires such as the Austro-Hungarian, Russian and Ottoman empires, changing the political landscape. The redrawing of national borders created new countries and altered existing ones, leading to further geopolitical tensions. The war also saw the rise of new ideologies such as communism and fascism, which would dominate much of the century's political discourse. The war's legacy continues to shape the world today, serving as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of global conflict. It highlights the dangers of unchecked nationalism, militarism, and the failure of diplomacy. The lessons learned from this flawed peace continue to resonate, emphasizing the importance of effective diplomacy in preventing future conflicts.